Hello once again, and we return with the UK edition, a place where we share some of the Indian buzz in Britain and beyond Britain in Europe too. Tricky matter, isn't that, post the Brexit vote? The British have never quite been fellow Europeans to the rest, and now they are less so, very much less so. So, what next? We'll keep a very close eye on that here. Uncertain days ahead, also of course for Indians in Britain, for India and Britain, but preparations for a British future outside the EU have begun already. The change ahead, the divorce if you like, is going to take skill and nerves and a little humour.
After the trauma over the Brexit vote and the turmoil in the markets, leaders and officials have been looking for the lighter touch to set people at ease, but also giving them serious reassurance.
Wimbledon was not enough this year, so we've decided to give you the treat of serial resignations across our system of government, major political disruption in all our major parties, all for your enjoyment.
You know you're in interesting times if the resignation of the Prime Minister is the third item on the news. So I think we are in interesting times, or were. And in this question of moving, as it were, through this divorce process into acceptance, I honestly think we've moved quite quickly beyond acceptance into opportunity, which isn't in that psychological line, I don't think, but we are very much looking at opportunity. One thing, a number of things that did not happen, but one definitely that did not happen on the 23rd of June was a vote for retrenchment, or a vote for inward lookingness. We will be very much out there in the world.
The uncertainty which many of you may have in your minds about the UK now, as we enter this new phase in our relations with the rest of the European Union. I want to put some of that uncertainty to rest, because I imagine that one or two of you might be worrying that Britain is about to become a more insular and inward-looking country. And I just want to put that idea completely out of your minds, if I can. More than ever, we're going to be an outward-looking, adventurous, confident, optimistic country that looks more than ever for the opportunities that there are around the world.
Scotland voted a different way and is talking a different language.
Scotland's in quite a different position from the rest of the UK. We're not in the acceptance stage. We don't accept the result. In Scotland, every single one of the 32 local authority areas voted to remain in the UK. The vote was round about 2 to 1, 62 to 38%.
A particular focus is the possibility of a new trade agreement between India and Britain.
It has been very frustrating that the EU-India free trade agreement has been so slow in making progress. Launched in 2007, it's suffered several pauses. I'm not sure whether it's moving at all at the moment. I hope it is, in discussions. But it has been taking too long to make progress, and I sincerely hope that a tighter bilateral trade agreement between the UK and India, notwithstanding the opportunities for British wine exports, which I believe are substantial, can make rapid progress now.
I did deal in my last job with in India EU for a year and a half, and I'm sure these are things in the fullness of time. After all, you have been discussing. We will see what is the way forward.
Everyone seems agreed on an urgent need to build new ties with India.
Regardless of the constitutional settlement and how things pan out, there is no doubt that the new situation presents, of course it presents threats, but it presents real opportunities as well. And we've heard mention of how quickly it may be possible to have a bilateral trade agreement between the UK and India, and there will be many other such opportunities. So whilst in the Scottish Government we're very keen to try and mitigate any potential threats, we want to make sure there is no disinvestment that follows from that. We also want to make sure that we maximise, as I'm sure India does, the opportunities which also present themselves.
So, what's the best way to cope with the changes ahead? Surely, heed the good old advice, keep calm and carry on. But keep calm how? Remember Yoga Day not long back? Now that might be the way. And it's the same yoga in Britain, in Germany.
Taking yoga up to the heights of the Shard in London on International Yoga Day was not the challenge. The challenge is to keep it at those heights.
Yoga Day is being celebrated in London this year at the top of the Shard, which is the tallest building in London. So yoga clearly reaching new heights, bringing health to those who practice and guilt among those who don't.
Beyond spectacular events such as those at the Shard, there is no doubt that the practice of yoga is spreading across Britain at many centres around the country, where different kinds of yoga are taught and practiced. The recognition of an International Yoga Day by the United Nations has given yoga a new boost.
This celebration of one of the greatest traditions of ancient India.
A great opportunity for a healthier mind, a healthier body, and actually just a quiet piece of contemplation. And the world will be a much better place if people contemplated what they were doing instead of taking immediate and angry action.
Yoga is universal and goes beyond languages. It's also getting a new promotion in Germany, where Yoga Day was celebrated in a central park in Berlin.
I'm so happy to be with you today, and I hope today we start this movement with all these wonderful schools to have yoga in the park not only once a year but every weekend.
Germany has had a strong tradition of studying ancient Indian languages and practices. One of the most celebrated scholars in Sanskrit ever was Max Muller. And now yoga in a Berlin park has brought an old Indian tradition back home to some people in Berlin. Yoga practitioners are preparing to take the practice now to many more followers. With Sanjay Suri in London, this is Meghnad Bose for News 18.
So then, as we were saying, stay calm as you drive into the unknown. Drive into the unknown. Now that, literally, is someone's way of dealing with Brexit. Step into your car and drive to India to make a point about new relations. Drive, if not from London to Mumbai, then from Luton to Marar, just south of Mumbai, following a little diversion along the way via the Arctic Circle. That is what Barulata Kamble is planning to do next month. One reason she has is to call through this drive for India and Britain to come closer after Brexit. Not the only reason, but one certainly. We can't join her on that drive. She is driving alone.
This weekend, Barulata Kamble will step out of her house in Luton for more than weekly shopping. She will be heading out on a solo drive from London all the way to Mahar in Maharashtra via the Arctic Circle.
75 days, I'll be driving through 32 countries and covering over 32,000 kilometers. This car will be going over 9 mountain ranges and 3 deserts and many countries.
It will be a daunting journey and not made any easier because she has chosen to drive via the Arctic Circle.
I'll be flagging off from Luton, going to Wales. From there I'll be going to France, Luxembourg, Belgium, Germany. From Germany I'll go to Denmark, and then from there I'll be coming down to Finland, capital Helsinki, and then I will enter a little bit of Russia. Yes, Russia is the big one here. Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, China and Myanmar, and I'll enter India at the More checkpost in Manipur state, and the journey will end in Mahad in Maharashtra.
She's heading out in her 4-year-old SUV, which may be a good idea because it's a car she is used to, but not for driving that kind of distance. And it will not be as safe and pretty a drive as much of Britain is all around her. But it is a drive she is looking forward to.
Well, I wanted to do it for so long, for many years, and I thought, why not this year? Government of India, I heard, has announced year 2016 as a women empowerment year, and I'm also promoting, I always wanted to promote women empowerment.
But her love for driving is not the only reason that is driving her into such a long drive.
My own personal satisfaction, I'm raising awareness for women empowerment, spreading a message, save girls, educate girls. I'm also spreading a message of India-UK ties and strong relations, and we must cherish, or we all cherish that.
That's right.
She has a great deal of support from her husband and her children for the journey, and her family are waiting for her proud return.
Yeah, I am nervous, but at the same time, I'm very confident about her as well. I'm very confident about her ability, and I have confidence in her confidence as well that she will achieve it. So, apart from being nervous, we are playing safe as well, and we are making every sort of efforts to keep her journey safe. And I just hope that she becomes successful in this, and I know that she will be successful.
Coming back with the world record, then I could just tell my friends, they would be like, oh wow, Riyam, I didn't know your mum did the world record.
Bharulata is preparing for her drive in many ways. She is preparing meals for her husband and children to cover her period away, for much of it at any rate. And she has been doing that just as she has been preparing the car itself.
We'll have car completely serviced, change all the brake pads and everything that needs changing, even though car has recently had its service, but we're going to ignore that and get car service completely. All the tires will be changed completely. We'll have a carrier on the car, even though because I'm on my own and this is a big car, I wouldn't need all that space, but just in case if I do, we're just going to put a carrier just in case for safety purpose.
And she has been preparing for the drive through some long drives earlier, long by the standards of the small country she lives in.
Lots of long drives. Like before I had children, I used to drive anywhere, anytime. Like one example I can think of is one time my husband had missed his flight. He had to be in Aberdeen next morning for an exam, and he missed his flight, and there was a point where next flight wasn't going to take him before the exam, and I was pregnant. He said, no, I'll do the exam next year. So no, we're not giving up. I'll drive you. And in that debate, I said, get in the car, let's go. And I drove him all the way to Aberdeen, being pregnant, overnight, and he reached next morning and did the exam.
With Sanjay Suri in London, this is LV Ilyas for News 18.
It would be a long, long journey ahead. She will need lots of breaks along the way. And we take a quick break now. Back very soon with a journey into the distant past, all the way to Mohenjo-daro with Hrithik Roshan. Welcome back, and we join Hrithik Roshan in Mohenjo-daro. Just what is he doing there? Karma Wangde caught up with him in London.
मोहनजोदारो में सिर्फ ही मैं निर्णय लेता हूँ। कौन जिएगा, कौन मरेगा?
इस नगर को तहस नहस होने से तू बचा सकता है सरमन। महम को सिर्फ ही तू रोक सकता है। ये मेरा नगर है।
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. The trailer looks amazing. First of all, question to you, Hrithika. When Ashutosh approached you for the film, was it daunting? Because we've read about Mohenjo-daro in our books in our school. In school, how daunting was it for you? Were you slightly apprehensive, or were you embracing the challenge?
I love it when I read a script and it instills an equal amount of fear and enthusiasm. When that is at par, when the level of that passion to do this, I want to do this, and the level of the fear, but how am I going to do this? When that is at par, when that's equal, that means that's the best place to be for any creative person in the world. So you have to have enough of the love and the passion to do it, and the fear of how. And these are the two things that I got from that script. So yes, it was daunting, but the amount of enthusiasm that I felt was equal. So it's perfect.
Ashutosh, you're a big history, above. But approaching a subject like this, what did the producers say? They say, "Oh, this is the scale of this is just going to be too big," or but they're like, "Okay, let's go for it."
No, thankfully I produce my own films, and I have a partner on this with UTV Motion Pictures, and we have a long collaboration. We have done Swades together, we have done Jodha Akbar together, so it was in that way easy to convince them to come on board, to greenlight the film, and of course to get Hrithik also on board, because if he didn't say yes, I couldn't have brought this to screen. It is a challenge to create a new world, but I like to take a lot of time in piecing it together. So that involves a lot of research, and I feel that research is where the film actually gets made. So it took me 2 years to get all the archaeologists together, get information from them, build all the story threads based on fact that they gave me, and combine fact and fiction, and create this make-believe world.
What was the brief you gave Hrithik? Because for a lot of other films we have reference points. You had, sort of for Lagan, let's say you had the reference points about the, because there's lots of documents about it.
Yeah.
But for this one, what was the kind of brief you gave Hrithik? Okay, we only read some amount of this in research and archaeological research. But what is the kind of brief you gave? Because
it was not an independent brief, but it was a instant realization through the script that this is going two steps beyond even Akbar. Because for us, Jodha Akbar was our last reference point. And Jodha Akbar, for Akbar, it was a slightly different kind of a portrayal because since he's an emperor. But here we had to combine the bravado and the courage into the heart of a simple indigo farmer. Now he's an indigo farmer, but when pushed against a corner, he will rise, and he rises. So that's the kind of a theme that was on paper, which then he built on. And I would like the audiences to react after they see the film, but he.
Yeah. No, I don't think you ever sat down and gave me a brief.
Yeah.
Because I think the script itself was, all it was self-explanatory, as in, it just took you into that world, and I could see everything, around the character. I didn't need to read when I entered the set.
Yeah.
His the amount of research he does is insane. But what that does for an actor is that it kind of like makes him very comfortable in leaving his reactions and actions to instinct, because it's the world that he places the actor in is enough for him to react in the correct manner. So he doesn't need to explain to him what to do. He is naturally going to do what needs to be done, because the atmosphere is going to be conducive to that. So I think that is the USP of a filmmaker like him, that he sets it up so beautifully. Like when I entered the set of Mohenjo, when I entered, he built Mohenjo. I mean, it was there. The lanes, the structures, it was all there. The drainage system, I could see it. I didn't need to find pictures. It was built in front of me. I could see it all. So it was fantastic.
Working again with A.R. Rahman, because you produced some fantastic music earlier with him. How was how was the experience, and what was the kind of reaction all three of you? I mean, was there a sort of reaction in terms of how you would involve the music in the film?
Yeah, this is my fifth collaboration with Rahman, and there's a certain comfort in now how we exchange ideas and how we bring him into the research of the film, for example. So when I told him what this world was and what kind of instrumentation was, what kind of instruments were found, which were existing at the time, and what kind of religion, according to my story, what could they be following? Based on that, then Rahman jammed, had sessions, created sounds which can become conducive with the civilization. And when I played the first track to him,
oh my,
which was
it blew my mind. I had this big, huge smile on my face, and I could see the entire film through that sound. It was just, it's classic. It is just incredible. I don't know how he does it. They do it, you know. I'm not involved in the music aspect of the film, but one thing I know is that the music of this film is probably the hero of the film. You know, it's just fantastic.
Final question, Ritik, you've been through fairly tough times, you know, in your personal life as well. Was it difficult for you, because this film is also very tough, you know, it's, you know, we've seen the trailers, you know, it was physically very tough as well for you. Was there a factor for you there as well? You know,
your life experiences are there to teach you to evolve. So I'm not the only one who goes through tough times. All of us do. And as long as you're learning from each experience and you're growing, it's only going to add. It's going to add to your character. It's going to add to your creative work. It's going to add, and then through that you will be able to contribute more to the world. So, you know, welcome them. I welcome my tough times.
Right. Well, here's some more learning, and all the very best for the next film. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brexit, Bollywood, we'll have all that and more to share with you in days and weeks ahead here on News 18. Stay with us.